Well, good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to the farm. Pretty lovely October afternoon here right now. You can see, there's some remnants of what was some pretty aggressive weather that we had there last weekend. I think we totaled out somewhere between 4 and 6 inches. It depends on whose tape measure you use, mine or the wife's. But we warmed up. The wind picked up. Most of it blew away. And I had the sheep in the south field. And so along this fence line that runs in front of the yard, right in front of our garden patch and everything, I put up some electric netting so the sheep couldn't get through and get in here and cause kind of mayhem, all kinds of nonsense. But as soon as it started to snow real heavily, I pulled the ewes out of the south field, put them in behind the barn here, and then I opened the gate for the rams and I just let them, and they can go do their business. I mean, it is that time of year, right? But what I thought was, well, you know what, if the snow all melts in a day, maybe, just maybe, I might kick all the sheep back out to the south here. Because there's still, quite a bit of grass out there that they could munch on without having to munch on any of this stuff. Now, here's the challenge. The challenge is this. If I leave that electric netting up, on Sunday I gotta go to Calgary. I won't be home until late Tuesday night. By then the weather's gonna shift, and I just don't know. I just can't say with any degree of certainty that it's not gonna freeze and just stay frozen from now until March. And I know that if we freeze that stuff in the ground, well, right there is gonna be a significant pain because that's a gate. And I'm going to want to get through that gate at some point this winter. So can't have the electric netting there. But I definitely don't want a whole pile of snow falling on that and putting pressure on it and pulling it down and really just kind of wrecking it. So I'm not one much for doing a whole pile of work here this afternoon, but I feel like I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to get this stuff wrapped up. And the other thing that I wasn't really keen on doing today, but needed to get done regardless, was a trip to the dentist. So first thing this morning, I went in and had a crown and 2 fillings done over here. And so I had lots of freezing, and there was probably about a 4-hour window there where if I would have tried to eat soup, I'd have had a mess in my lap. But nevertheless, anyways, it's coming out here now, and I got a whole pile of Tylenol on board, which is helping to keep me cheerful nevertheless. The pony and the little donkey out here, they're having the time of their life. They got this whole 80 acres to themselves. And because this grass is kind of late season grass, it's not the greatest. We've been able to leave the pony out, and she hasn't had any hoof problems, no founder issues, because the grass quality is so low with all getting baked off earlier in the year. So I'm not too happy about all the grass being baked off, but it has allowed us to be a little less intensive with the management of that little pony over there. Anyways, this is the stuff we got to get out here, and I got it strung for a long way, all the way from over there, all the way, like literally not half, probably a third of the way across a quarter section. I've got this electric netting strung up. And then I got another length of it strung down there and in the pipeline right away that goes through and splits the farm in half, so that the sheep that when they were out here couldn't hop across the creek and then go way over there. I wanted to keep them on this side. The reason for that was because if they can get through that forested section there, then they have, well, the coyotes really have unimpeded access to our livestock. And we just wouldn't have a visual on them ever, right? So I just wasn't super comfortable with that. I wanted to keep them over here where we'd have line of sight from the house. I mean, it's no guarantee, but it helps you, that gut feeling that maybe you can do something. If a predator comes in, you may have a clear shot, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Everybody's spooled up for the winter here now. So I might as well wrap up all this fence, and that'll be one, if I wrap this up, that'll be a guarantee that the weather will stay nice, and I'll regret putting it away because I'll be able to kick the sheep loose in here. But if I leave it out, I'll guarantee it's going to freeze real hard, snow a whole pile, and we'll be left with this stuff trapped here. Anyways, yesterday my wife kind of played me at my own game. a failure to communicate game that is. So she texts me, I don't know, partway through the workday, at least after lunchtime. For sure it was after lunchtime. And she said, "Oh, Mom's stopping by today with a third of a beef, and we don't have any freezer space here because we butchered pigs, we butchered turkeys, we butchered chickens, all kind of in short order there. And so we have every single freezer space of it, even the fridge freezer side, just chock full of meat," which is a really good problem to have. But I was either not listening or not included in the conversation, probably not listening. But regardless, unaware that a side of beef was coming in that we're going to need to find freezer space for. So she texts me, she says, "Do you mind stopping by Costco? Do you think we could do that on the way home from work and pick up a stand-up deep freeze?" So we already have one stand-up deep freeze. It's convertible, like it can be a fridge or it can be a freezer, which is kind of cool. But we use the one we currently have for a freezer. So I stopped by Costco yesterday on my way home from work, and yeah, they were $150 off. So they're regularly $7.99.99, and I got it for whatever that were, math $6.50 or whatever the math works out on that. So still not cheap by any means, but anyway, so I get home and the whole porch is full of beef, and I'm like, this really doesn't look like a third of a beef. It doesn't look like a half a beef. Like, this looks like most of a beef. Turns out nobody else had freezer space either, but I was the only sucker that was willing to go to Costco and buy another deep freeze to put it all in. So anyways, wheeled up to the front door there, popped it in the house, and packed all that beef down the stairs, got it in there, got it all froze up. So now we got lots of hamburger, lots of steaks, lots of roast. We're in good shape. We will not starve this winter. Even though the potatoes, I'm just over here actually beside the garden, we did harvest the rest of the potatoes the other day, and I mean, it did okay. Again, we won't starve, but certainly did not get the crop of potatoes we had hoped to get. And that was probably because I was lazy and I didn't get out here and water, and I didn't get out here and weed. And so we get what we get, and we don't get to get upset. Anyhow, speaking of lazy, I better get after here and get this fence spooled up, or the wife will be home and she'll be chewing me out. Well, I got one net put away and I'm just working on number 2 here. But what I'm most excited about putting this stuff away is not the fact that I can't have sheep out to graze. What I'm most excited about is that this restricts anything from coming into the yard, but it also restricts anything from coming out of the yard. So that big white fella right there, who's supposed to be the guardian dog and keep all the predators at bay and all the shenanigans away, well, if he can't get out here to do any of that, what does he do? He sits right underneath our bedroom window or on the front deck. And if he sees or hears or smells something he doesn't like, he just woo, 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 woo. And it's usually about midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, or, some ungodly hour. So now the fence is pulled down. He can go down there and go manage his business, and he can go woo, woo, woo wherever he wants down there, and I can continue to get a good night's sleep. So I'm okay with pulling this fence down.